Opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
All right, it's Friday, the 9th day of April, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Linda's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla John and Jackie Lambert. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link. If you're on Facebook, start that watch party. If you're on Twitter, make sure you retweet it. If you're on channel 82 or the Full 100 radio station, make sure you call someone up, let them know we're on. Just get the conversation out there to your network, and don't forget to like and engage with us. We have another good one today to end the week as Carla John stops by to discuss diversity and inclusion. Boy, oh boy. The Daily Play is the feud today. So number one answers only, but we have a lot to get through. So stick with us. We're going to try to keep a real tight timeline today because we don't want to come up short with the diversity and inclusion. But I'm going to give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about today. Sad news coming out of the Caribbean and St. Vincent. I want to go over some vaccine requirements because, again, I believe people can feel how they feel, but I just think there's too many proud hypocrites walking around when it comes to vaccines. And so we're going to go through a list of things that you need to pretty much get residency in, well, certain countries. And then hurricane season. I don't know if you guys heard, but 7 hurricane seasons we're expecting. We want to touch on that. Hopefully none of them Carla or Jackie. And I mean, you guys. And then Hubert Davis, he's just been appointed the coach at North Carolina and felt the need to say that he's proud to have a white wife. So these are some of the things that we want to discuss before we get to the discussion with Carla John. But first, did you guys get to see anything regarding the eruption in St. Vincent?
Yeah, I have friends from St. Vincent, so he regularly updates his status, and he just sent a picture of the latest eruption. So it's like basically first thing in the morning, and I know it's destructive, but it looks so beautiful because, of course, it's got the fire coming through the ash, so it kind of looks like either a sunset or a sunrise. But it's crazy what's happening over there.
Yeah, I received a 4-minute voice note, which was like from a newscast or something, and it was saying like they're gonna most likely evacuate. That's scary. That is so sad. It's really scary. And then the other scary part, not scary, but controversial part, is the vaccination requirement that they will not, if they are residents to be evacuated, they must be vaccinated, because they were talking about going to Bahamas, like Barbados. So. What about people that have religious beliefs? That's what I thought of, or who are anti-vaxxers. What happens then? Are they going to get left behind? Which I doubt, but just something there to make me think about.
Yeah, interesting, and kind of ties into what we're going to be talking about next. But the I think it was Montserrat. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks.
Years ago,
many years ago, this happened, and you never want to see it. You never want to see it. So definitely, my heart goes out to everyone associated with St. Vincent right now, and hopefully it's not as bad as they're predicting, and things can. Yeah, I did see Tariq Shakir writes cruise ships are picking them up. I don't remember which cruise line. Was it Royal Caribbean? One of the cruise lines were going down there to offer assistance as well. So one of the saddest ones I saw was that people are concerned they may never ever get to see their homes again and stuff like that. I could not imagine how that must feel. Can't imagine how that must feel. So again, hearts go out to him. Not sure if we have any people from St. Vincent and the grenadines that tune into this show. But please know, if there's anything we can do, just let us know. But want to move on. You mentioned vaccinations, Carla, right? And you said that one of the reports you read said that they must be vaccinated to go to Bahamas, was it?
I think it's Barbados, but yeah, they said that they had to be vaccinated.
So that brings me into something, because I think vaccinations are very private, right? It's interesting that it's discussed so publicly right now because of what's happening, but it's very private. Like, without if the coronavirus pandemic never happened, it's not a general conversation. I'll be like, hey, Carla and Jackie, are you vaccinated? You know,
but I disagree with you a little. I don't think that it's private. I think that it's every day, and so we just take it. It's not. It's just a non-starter. Like, I don't say to you, Jamal, what color socks do you have on? I just assume you may have socks. So it is interesting how this has become such a big deal when vaccinations to me were just normal.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not something that you'll talk about in every conversation. It's not something that you have the anti-vaxxers, right? And you have people who support vaccinations. But without the coronavirus pandemic, you don't have these people who probably never had a voice on anything preaching such. Like, I don't want to go into private messages, but I don't argue with people about stuff like this, because I truly believe people should be allowed to feel how they feel, right? If that's how you feel, so be it. But I do question, like, people's intelligence and the barometer of intelligence. And the reason I do is I don't think Bermudians are sheltered. I really don't think we're sheltered people, but I think we limit ourselves. So I just said, well, let me go on to vaccination requirements of the United States for residency, because I know what I had to do to get my residency. And just here's a list of the vaccinations required for residency in the US. Mumps, measles, how you pronounce this? Rubella. All right. Polio, tetanus, and some other word I can't pronounce. And then there's another word I can't pronounce, pertussis. And then influenza type B, hepatitis B, any other vaccine preventable diseases recommended by the advisory committee for immunization practices. My point is, I feel like there's some dishonest people out here about the vaccine as it relates to the coronavirus. What do I mean by dishonest? You can't tell me that you have residency in another jurisdiction and you have not taken a vaccine unless you have some sort of right to live there, like Bermudians in the UK. So I just think, again, and it goes back to what I said originally, vaccines are usually private. I don't know what vaccines Carla has or Jackie, and actually I don't care because it's none of my business. But that's what I mean by private, not something you go around and asking people, are you vaccinated? Because it's not a conversation I had until I had to go to school and get certain shots. And then when I had to get my US residency, and that was the first flu shot I ever had. Would I ever gotten one? I'm not interested. But I got it because it was required for what I was applying for. So I think people need to keep people out here. Oh, I'm not getting this. I'm not. Player, you heard what Carla just said. I don't think it's necessarily right or constitutional. But at the end of the day, if you want to enjoy the life that you believe you want to enjoy, then you may have to do things. I'm going to use conscription. It's the best example I can always use. I said to somebody yesterday that a lot of people, everyone doubted us. Real quickly, sorry, just breaking news up top of my screen. Prince Philip has died.
Oh, no. I didn't even know that. I'm in the UK.
Yeah, I just Prince Philip dead at 99. Duke of Edinburgh passes away at Windsor Castle 3 weeks after finishing 28-night hospital stay for infection and heart surgery. So this is according to the Daily Mail. Is that reputable?
Yes, and you know what? I'm looking at my phone because I keep it on Do Not Disturb, and it has BBC, and it just has it right here.
Yeah, so, Prince Philip, that is the Queen Elizabeth's husband, correct?
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, breaking news just now. Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth, has passed away at the age of 99. Sorry to do that. We were in a conversation, but this is just how media works, folks. We were having a conversation, and it just popped
turns.
up on my screen. Wow. So sorry about that. Where was I? Wow.
With
Conscription?
no, but you're talking about the best example is conscription in regards to vaccines. I don't know what was the
Yes,
connection.
yes. And I was saying, we had to do a lot of things that we did not want to do just to win our fight, to win our battle. What were some of those things? We lost job opportunities. We got arrested and locked up. These are things we didn't want to do, but we knew that it was part of the process. So, folks, I'm not telling you to get a vaccine. I don't promote stuff I'm not educated on. But I think we need to do more than listen to people who probably have never been right in their lives. I'm being dead serious about that.
That was a
You're
plot
making me
twist for
think though, but you're making me think because even like when I went to university in the States, I mean, they had a list and you followed the list. And even with a flu shot, I had never, call me ignorant, I had never even heard of a flu shot until when I was pregnant in 2009 and my children had to get it for my safety. Otherwise than that, it's like it's not an everyday discussion. So
I had to get a shot every time I represented Bermuda. And that was since 12. So my last one that I had to get was actually I had to get the Tdap shot when my sister was pregnant with my nephew. Like in order for me to be around him, I had to have up-to-date shots. And honestly, I didn't even blink because in my head I was just like me or my newborn nephew. So I don't know. Like I understand what people's concern is because it's a new vaccine. It's just on the market, and the concern that they are going to be the test dummies or whatever the situation is. Maybe they feel like they're stronger and they're healthier. But like you said, don't ask me, and we won't have this discussion because I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you're gonna get your niece back. Like, is your niece getting vaccinated when she was first born?" And I'm like, why is that any of your business? Like, how is that any of your business? I don't ask you your personal stuff. Like that's between me and my family, what happens with my niece.
I agree. And that's it. Like I just thought that it was such a private thing. Carrie Lamb says you must have an X-ray to show proof you don't have tuberculosis to enter most countries, including Bermuda. Well, that's another one. It's not listed here, but it was on the other part of the site I looked at for the US. But yes, you have to get the chest X-ray. Most of us, Deborah Leah Joe Bell says, most of us vaccinated as children. Did our parents question it then? I'm just asking. Well, look, and I just want to go on the back of what Jackie said too. We have every right to question this stuff. I say it all the time. We have every look. Let's be very clear here. Some of these companies offering us vaccines are the same companies getting sued for other things that they've given us over the years. So that it's people have that right to question it. I just feel like we have to be very careful what information. Like we live in an information age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because there's so much information, I'm just not quite sure we do a great job with separating the truth from what we want to believe. The truth from what we want to believe. Lips broad street. Okay, whatever.
No, that's me passing on.
How are your kids getting a shot? Was for your safety.
She didn't say that. Yeah.
No. It was me passing on anything to my nephew.
But
like how you getting
guys, gotta move on. We have to move on. Don't want to get stuck on that. Real quickly, we have a couple more things to touch on before that. Hurricane season. Did you guys see the report on hurricanes?
17, I think it said. Big boys that are coming this season.
Yeah, 17 named hurricanes expected. And
renew your house insurance, guys.
Yeah, these are interesting
times. Your house insurance.
Yeah, all I'll say from hurricanes, right? And remember last year, guys, we had some incidents in Bermuda where we had people being reckless, young children when the waves were coming up in that yard, and young boy down it. That's what I worry about when it comes to Bermuda. I think we are resilient, we are intelligent enough, but we have to be smarter as we enter hurricane season. And one of the things we have to let go of the arrogance, like, oh, we're Bermudian, ain't nothing gonna happen. That's all I ask people to be, safe, make smart decisions. And yes, there's a pandemic, but Mother Nature does not operate like humans do. Pandemic or no pandemic, Mother Nature is going to be Mother Nature. So they're predicting 17 hurricanes. Hopefully no one goes on YouTube and tries to challenge the hurricane people based on something they're speaking about.
Can't promise that.
But I want to go back to talent. I'm going to share a quick story with you guys. Talent says, but YouTube is always right. Let me tell you guys something. So, I wasn't the best with my hands. And so if I had something that needed to be put together or fixed, I had a friend, yo, bro, when you coming up to visit? All right, cool. I need my TV stand put together. So obviously when you get married, things change. You kind of can't do that anymore. You just can't afford it. And so I find myself fixing a lot of things around the house. And every time, let's say my mother-in-law gives me something, she says, oh, here's the instructions right here. And I look at this big booklet. I say, no, you hold that. Let me go on YouTube. Fixed like that. What did I fix last night, you're wondering? The alarm system. Oh, wrong one.
That was the right one.
So I want to tell you guys, I share that because honestly, YouTube, as crazy as it may be, really has been a good friend of mine. I legit go on YouTube to learn how to do so many things. But folks, you can learn a lot on there. But remember what I said about 2 minutes ago about information age? Separating truth from what
you want to believe.
Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Hubert Davis.
I read that this morning. I posted it on my page this morning. Bless him. I don't think he meant any harm. And reading all the commentary around it, everyone said that he is such a kind and sweet man, but it came across like he was being apologetic as such.
Oh, yeah.
So for those who don't know, he's the first Black coach of UNC, is it, I believe?
University of North Carolina.
And he did his first press conference. And he was like, I'm proud, as a Black man. And he said, and I'm also proud to have a Black wife and 3 beautiful children.
He didn't say Black wife.
I'm sorry, white wife and 3 beautiful children. And everything derailed from there. The blogs have gone on fire. The article that I posted on my personal page had really good commentary saying that it almost seemed like he was saying that to kind of buffer. I don't know. I feel the poor man's being put his neck on the line, like as far as a boo-boo, but what's your take on it?
I don't see why he had to say, I'm proud of my white wife. He said white.
Why does he have to actually put white in there? Why couldn't he just say, I'm proud to be married with beautiful kids?
And I think
he brought attention to it, if anything.
Says, I think it was a slip of a tongue. And
I don't think so.
I'll say this much. I don't think it was a slip of a tongue. I think if you check it, what I took from it was, okay, I may be the first Black coach, but I want to make white people comfortable with my appointment. That's what I got from it. I'm Black, but I'm not that Black. That's what I took from it. That's just how I felt. I'm not saying that's how he meant it.
I don't know if I got that, but I did get something along those vibes. I did get, it was almost like, I'm friends with Jamal, but I like people in the army too, just for example. Like, it was like he was trying to be appealing to everybody. That's how I took it.
I have white friends type of scenario.
Yeah.
That's what I just keep getting when people say stuff like this. That's all I keep getting. It's just like, I want to be accepted by everybody. Don't rock the boat.
I
didn't think it was a relevant comment in the context of what he was talking about.
It wasn't. And that's and that's why I think, I think so much has been said about him being the first Black coach that he felt the need to tone it down for some reason. And yeah, it was bad. But real quickly, I just want to say, yes, I see people commenting now. If you've watched from the top of the show, we discussed St. Vincent first. We then discussed vaccination requirements. We discussed, the death of Prince Philip. We spoke about that as well as it came across on our screen breaking, and now I just see the Queen announces. The Queen announces with deep sorrow that husband Duke of Edinburgh passed away peacefully at Windsor Castle this morning, 3 weeks after he finished 28-night stay for infection and heart surgery. So, yeah, Carla, let's get to the news break, and then we have another Carla John, coming on, and we're going to discuss diversity and inclusion. And if you know me, whoo, let's go to that news break.
Premier David Burt last night extending thoughts and prayers to the residents of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as they face the possible eruption of the volcano La Soufriere. Sorry if I mispronounced it, saying the CARICOM family is united in its desire to provide support where necessary, and like our regional partners, we continue to hope for the best. Premier Burt saying, I will be making contact with Prime Minister Gonzalez to personally convey these well wishes. La Soufriere last erupted in 1979, and the heightened alert comes as a result of increased seismic and volcanic activity. Reports indicate that plans are in place to effect the evacuation of residents in the area of the volcano. A number of Bermudian families have ties to the Caribbean island. Meanwhile, detectives increasingly believe the murder on Tuesday night of a young father on his way home from a card game was a case of mistaken identity. Jordan Utterbridge, 37, was fatally shot near the junction of Orge Road and Tribe Road No. 2 shortly after 10:30 p.m. as he set out from an area residence. Police say they are investigating whether Mr. Utterbridge was the intended target of the shooting, and a source said there was an emerging hypothesis that it was a case of mistaken identity. Everybody needs a change of pace now and then, and sometimes we just don't feel like ourselves. This day is dedicated to the ultimate form, of self-expression. It's Name Yourself Day. Have you ever felt, that you are more of a Charles or a Keisha, or even a moon unit? Well, on this day, you can be. For just one day, you can call yourself anything you like. Be careful, though, the new name might just stick. So today, my co-hosts are now known as Drippy because he's sinking tomorrow, and Corny because she loves a dry, and I do mean a dry joke. Turning to weather, the temperature for Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 68. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Jamal will be sinking tomorrow, will see a high of 79, and Manchester, UK, will see a high of 49. I hope Jamal has his towel and swim cap ready because tomorrow is D-Day. He's being held hostage, but only for a few more hours. Shall we save him or shall we sink him? The way it's looking, he's going to be gurgling and spluttering. But you still have time to decide. Contribute to a good cause and participate in the annual Bermuda Sloop Foundation's fundraising event, Pirates of Bermuda. Visit www.bermudasloop.org to save Drippy. That's your Daily Hour news break.
Sink him, sink him, sink him.
Hold on. How you saying sink him? And she said you're corny and dry and called me Drippy. Like, shouldn't you be on my side right now?
I didn't say she was corny and dry. I said she likes corny and dry jokes.
I do. I have the bash dry jokes.
You all have really shown your true colors in trying to get me to drown. I told you I couldn't swim, and still no one has sympathy for me. So
you can't swim.
He's trying to get sympathy. You never said you can't swim, puppy. You said you don't like to swim.
You said on this here show that you can swim. You just don't like the water.
Well, hold on, Jackie. Doggy paddle is not technically swimming, so it's kind of telling the truth.
It's survival. It's survival.
Thankfully, we have a guest waiting to change the topic of conversation. We'll be right back on these two. My goodness,
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Just in time for spring cleaning comes a fragrant, naturally effective solution. Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day Household Cleaners. Formulated not with the usual harsh chemicals like chlorine, ammonia, and petroleum derivatives, but powerful natural essences with garden-inspired scents. Safer for your children and pets, and aromatherapeutic too. This month we're featuring Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day Laundry Detergent with geranium and lavender, multi-surface cleaners powered by the invigorating aromas of lavender, bluebell, and honeysuckle, and more. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Carla Zool. She's Jackie Lambert. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Linda's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced shows. If you have One Communications, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of a nickname for Carla just for today, but it's not one's not coming to me. Yeah. So look, let's bring in Carla John to the conversation so it could ease up the games on me. I'm not feeling today, folks. You guys you got me. I don't have a comeback. Morning, Carla. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Diversity and inclusion. Name calling. I'm not calling it nicknames. There's some name calling going on in this place, and I'd like for you to kind of help the person over there in the UK. And understanding everything that's wrong with name calling. But anyway, thank you for coming and having this conversation. Before we get started, just give people an idea of your background as it relates to the topic of diversity and inclusion.
So I actually started with disability. That's what my master's degree is in. It's in educational psychology. And my plan was to advocate for people with hearing loss. So that's how it started. And then I ended up getting a job working with LGBT youth. Mm-hmm. They were called at-risk youth, but they were LGBT youth, and then ended up at Laurentian University. And now I'm at a different institution doing equity, diversity, and inclusion.
All right. And I just asked that because I just want people to understand, what experience and an understanding you have to speak on this topic, because for the life of me, I do not understand diversity and inclusion. All I see on LinkedIn on a daily basis is a Black person or a woman who's recently been appointed the chief diversity officer or director of diversity. And for the life of me, I just want to understand it. I'm not saying I will after today, but at least hopefully you'll give more, shed more light. But speak to us about the point and purpose of diversity and inclusion from where you sit.
So when we talk about diversity, a lot of people just assume that they mean, I'll give the example of M&Ms. So M&Ms are different colors: red, blue, green, dark brown, and yellow. So people look at that and they go, oh, that's diversity because those people have different colors, but that's not actual diversity. That's just, they're all made the same, they just have different colors on the outside. So that's not diversity. But it passes as diversity now because that's, you see it and you go, oh, okay, that's diversity, different people, different colors. But they may all have the same kind of influence or ideals or ideology. So when I talk about diversity, I'm talking about gender, I'm talking about race, sexual orientation, all of that is diversity to me. So I guess we have to agree on what we mean by diversity.
Mm.
So I know you touched on it, but can you go a little deeper on what diversity in the workplace looks like for you? Like what would be your ideal thing?
Sure. For me, living in Canada, I'm usually one of the only diverse people because I'm Black, I'm a woman, I have a disability, I'm hard of hearing, I have my little hearing aids on, and I'm also in the LGBT community. So I'm kind of like the diversity person, and I do this work, so it kind of makes sense. So in the workplace for me, my main focus is inclusion. So what I mean by inclusion is when you feel included, when you go somewhere, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy you're here. We were waiting for you. We're so happy that you're here. And what do you need to make you feel more comfortable? Like home. So my goal is to make the workplace feel like home.
Okay, so how do we differentiate between diversity and making the quota?
So the quota, so a lot of the quota is in the United States. It's a little bit different than Canada. They can collect more information on diversity than we can. We can't ask questions about your diversity unless we're going to do something with that information. And a lot of people don't want to give that information because in the past it's been used against folks. Like if someone said that they were in the LGBT community, that could be used against you to not hire you. So people are really hesitant about using or explaining their diverse backgrounds. So that's why in Canada it's a little bit different. The laws are different. So I think that answers the question. I hope it does.
Well, we're gonna get a little bit more spicy with it. So at what point do we stop trying to fit into their spaces and worrying about them giving us a place to sit at their table and just create our own rooms to sit in? Because I see us constantly trying to squeeze our way in so that we can be used as the quota. Like, at what point do we just say, you know what, this isn't working, and move on?
Well, it depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to be someone who affects policy and affects change, then you're like the facilitator. You're the bridge between the activists and the policymakers. So if that's your goal, then you will probably always be part of the quota. But if your goal is to be an activist for a particular purpose, then that's completely different than the person who's going to be writing policy and affecting policy. That person is going to be in the room affecting policy, whereas activists are usually kind of on the outside protesting or doing things like that to bring attention to their cause. So if we're talking about not being tokenized, that's something completely different. And there's a difference between tokenized when you're consenting to it. Like for instance, when I was racing down at Southside, I was the only woman who was racing at the time, and we were going to do some media. We were going to be on TV, and one of the guys was like, "Could you please come and be on this media because you're the only woman?" So I knew I was being tokenized, and I understood why, because we wanted to get more women involved. So I think there's a difference between knowing when you're being tokenized and being a part of it to push an agenda, rather than, thinking that you got this job or them picking you as a token.
Now, Carla, we can't ignore in the wake of George Floyd, that there have been all these appointments, and like Jamal said earlier, with Blacks and especially Black women heading up diversity positions as such. In your opinion, how do you know the difference between an organization or company that really is trying to affect change versus being politically correct?
By their actions. So I sit on a committee that gives grants to diversity and inclusion initiatives, and sometimes the applicants have done absolutely nothing to warrant being granted money. They have this plan to have a plan, but they don't really know what they're going to do. It's a lot of money. They aren't really sure what they're going to do with it, but they want more diversity and they want more inclusion, but aren't really sure how to go about it. So in those cases, I would say definitely look at the actions. What have you done before? Like if a company or a group is making a diversity statement and they have nothing to back it up, that's when they get all the backlash. That's when people start saying, hey, wait a minute, you're making this big diversity statement after George Floyd, but you're not really doing anything. You don't have any diverse people on your staff, or if they are on your staff, they're usually support staff. They're not running things. So what are your actions? What are you actually doing?
No, when I went to university, the buzzword was affirmative action. Now, I know that pertains specifically to minorities. But what's the difference between diversity and inclusion versus affirmative action? Is it any different?
It is, because affirmative action actually benefits white women. it was meant to be diverse, right? It was meant to promote diversity. And they did by hiring more women. But the color of those women happened to be white. So they're saying, look, we are diverse. We're 40 or 50% women, 50% men. Look, we've done a great thing. And then, all the people of color, the Black people, the indigenous people are like, but we're not represented, as well as people who have different sexual orientations or have disabilities aren't represented either. So affirmative action, the idea was to get and to level the playing field a little bit, but it did for white women, I guess. The easiest way to say it.
I'm listening to you, and we'll get to as many questions as we can in the audience. So if you have questions, feel free, and we'll try to get as many comments and questions in before we wrap it up with Carla. But I hear you. I'm taking it all in, still trying to understand. But here's my concern. And Carla, you just mentioned, since George Floyd, you've seen a lot of companies. If you're on LinkedIn, folks, I'm pretty sure, regardless of who you follow, you have got to see a new Black or woman hire in a diversity and inclusion position almost weekly, right? I guess where I'm concerned is going back to what Jackie said about these token appointments, right? It's the kind of women and kind of Black people that are appointed. We have to go there. These are traditionally, now when you look at it, it's not the Black person who's gonna move the needle, right? It's not the woman that's gonna move the needle. It's people that are satisfying, to use the term, quota. And so now diversity and inclusion, when I look at it, it just comes across like we're here to tick these boxes and move on. Now, they can't say we're racist now because we have a Black director. They can't say we're sexist now because we have a woman in this position.
But they still don't have the power to make the change.
Now. They can't say we're homophobic now because we have a gay Go ahead, Jackie.
But so they're putting us in these positions, but they're not giving us the power to make the change, to rock the boat, to move the needle, as you say. They're constantly moving the goalpost. So yes, we're given these positions, but it's just a piece of paper. We can't do anything with it. It's just to make them look good. And then what happens? We got moved to the back. Oh wait, you're trying to make a statement at the table. The big boys are talking. Go sit in the corner, take these notes, and learn something. Oh, by the way, while you're walking to the back, I need a refill on my coffee.
I want to push back on that just a little bit because of the people that I know that are doing this work. So one of the issues that I have with the diversity and inclusion, the new hires, is that they have to have PhDs or like master's degrees. But I don't think that's necessary for people who we're asking them to come up with ideas to include people. I don't think it's necessary to have a PhD per se to do that. On the other hand, some of the people who do have PhDs are really pushing it, in Canada anyway, are pushing the needle about they're getting the higher positions like vice provost or VP of equity, diversity, and inclusion, and they are making changes. And I know the changes are small, but the changes are being made, and these people are in the room and they are able to use their power. So you're right. And at the same time, I want to push back just to say that there are some people in the room who aren't tokens, and we need to really amplify those people.
Let's go to the comments. We have quite a few coming through. Excellence Rules says, to what extent are diversity measures? For instance, what about various beliefs, religious, political, social? We focused on sex, sexual orientation, race, etc. But what else is a consideration for diversity with the current diversity and inclusion focus?
Religion is definitely focused. Happy Ramadan to all who celebrate. So for instance, if I have a student who is Sikh and they have to wear a turban and a bangle, and they're in a class or something that requires that those things not be visible. So now we have to figure out how are we going to be able to allow that person to practice their religion and still adhere to the safety concerns of their classroom. So religion is definitely part of it when people have to pray or take time out to go to religious ceremonies. That's also part of diversity and inclusion.
All right. Dijon Simmons asks, how do you determine what is performative and what is a genuine cultural shift with a business or entity?
I would say again, actions. What are you actually doing? Are you just talking about it? What does your front office look like? What does your back office look like? Interrogate what their diversity actually means instead of just, taking it from them that, oh, okay, yeah, my company is diverse. What actions are you doing? How are you linked to different communities of color, indigenous communities, and Black communities, as well as religious communities? I'll put that in there.
Rosalind Famous says it's a joint effort. Having voice both at the table and away from the table are equally valuable. Remember, if you are not at the table, you are on the table. Shikarena asks, diversity, equity, and inclusion opportunities are popping up all over LinkedIn. Yep, I mean everywhere. What certifications / qualifications should people have for these roles? Because I know you mentioned people should not, they don't need a PhD.
Yeah, it's my opinion that they don't need a PhD, but for the most part, they're asking for qualifications in sociology, education, psychology, proof that you've worked in a community or advocated in a community and done the work already, whether it's with women, with LGBT people, religious groups, and groups with people with disabilities and indigenous groups. So if you've worked with certain groups, that can sometimes give you the qualification that you need. But if you work with multiple equity-seeking groups, then that's one of the great qualifications that you have.
Mm-hmm. Renee Charlene Simmons says, absolutely, Jackie, great point to your earlier comment. And Deb Fort responded to that. She's 100% correct, e.g., what have we heard from our first Black female governor? Hardly a thing. Well, all you all in this party celebrating Black girl magic and all that stuff, I've already called you out on it, because this is not a governor that was ever going to be for Black Bermudian women. But you all keep running up and jumping and lapping all this nonsense up. This is what you're going to get. You set yourself up for constant disappointment. It ain't no Black girl magic with somebody that's representing the damn crown. Stop it. Sorry, my headphone came out. I got angry just now. Sometimes, But
Jamel, I just want. Can I say something about the swimming?
Sure.
So when my undergrad was in physical education, and I'm sitting in this class, biomechanics, and the prof says the reason why Black people can't swim. So my ears perked up, and I'm like, what? He goes, the reason why Black people can't swim is because when they brought the slaves over, they chose the more muscular Black people, and that's why they sink. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? So of course I said, and of course, Black people do know how to swim. Yes. So he comes back the next class and apologizes. But this is a man with a PhD teaching people prior to me that Black people are not able to swim because they have too many muscles. And I'm like, not the Black people I know. But anyway, that's just an example.
I never heard that until I came to the U.S. because obviously being from an island, everybody you knew, well, everyone I knew, I was a late bloomer, knew how to swim, right? So I had never heard of that until the U.S., that Black people didn't know how to swim. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe I was a sheltered island boy where I grew up in different environment. Dijon Simmons says, I ask because looking back at the whole BLM protest last year locally in Bermuda, we saw plenty of art and businesses blacking out their photos. But what has really changed structurally since? And I'm glad Dijon says this. I'm happy he brings this up. And the reason is there were certain white people in Bermuda who own businesses and sit on boards whose companies were guilty of stuff. And they made, it was like apology season. That's what I called it at the time, apology season. And the question's there, it's what happened after those marches. Like, is the satisfaction that a police officer gets suspended and may lose her job, is that the satisfaction? Have we seen the changes? I don't think we have seen a cultural shift. I don't think we've seen that paradigm shift that people we should be expecting from this stuff. So I guess when we look at it, and again, since the George Floyd situation, which that trial is happening right now, there seems to be noise made, and then corporate companies do what they do, act like they care, right? They appoint who they want, someone who's not going to rock the boat, someone who's going to be fine just being that face and having a good pay and paying their mortgage. And they can run the same. So at that point, this is what diversity and inclusion looks like to me when I see that. It looks like to me that it's actually nothing more than another barrier to protect racist institutions. That's what it looks like to me.
And that could very well be true. And that's why I keep going back to what actions have they done? What does it look like? What are they actually doing to promote diversity? Are they asking for people who, when they get in HR, when they hire people, are they asking for them to specifically hire a person of color? Are they asking specifically to hire someone with disabilities, or someone who wears a hijab, who's Muslim? Like, are they doing that, or are they just saying that, Black Lives Matter and putting up a black square and then doing nothing afterwards? And I think that's where the activism comes in, and holding people to account, or companies to account, when they say that they are being inclusive and they are being diverse. Call them out on it. Like, what are you doing? What does that look like? How have you changed? Where do I fit?
But Carla, I'll say this much. What I find, it's not funny, it's actually a sad indictment on the current world we live in. When these white, and I say white because they are white businesses start giving themselves awards for diversity and inclusion in the workplace. When they start giving themselves, oh, you received this award for diversity, and ain't nothing changed. Ain't a damn thing changed. But that's where we're at. And so that's why I think it's important we have these conversations with people like yourself to kind of get an understanding. And I'm glad you mentioned, like, not everyone's an activist. We must say that to you. Not everyone is an activist. And so this is not to put pressure on any Black person that gets a position. You're not, we understand people move in different ways, right? We fight in different ways, strategies and everything. But at the end of the day, we still have to understand the difference between when a cultural shift is actually taking place and happening, and when we're just being put there to satisfy the masses. I think that's the part right there.
I agree.
Yeah. Island Teacher says, what are we doing to invest in education? Too many people are excluded from gainful occupation by a passive acceptance of society that we will tolerate low standards of achievement. Go ahead, Carla.
I'm not sure that ties into what Carla's talking about.
Well, can you put it up again?
Yeah. I'm trying to make sense of it. So for this conversation, I guess
like cancel culture, maybe
inclusive education. Maybe
they're just expressing.
Okay.
Oh, okay. But it sounds to me like what we're calling cancel culture. Well, what some people are referring to as cancel culture now. So, we're talking about cancel culture for people who have big positions and people now we disagree with them and they're like, oh, you're canceling me. But for most of us, cancel culture is having a name that's not European in nature. You put that on your application, and studies have shown that a person with a Black sounding name is way less likely to even get an interview for a job, let alone get the job. So I'm not sure if that's what they're talking about, but I was just taking a run at it.
Oh, we look, I would love to have a conversation on the whole idea of cancel culture, because I think I think we're trending in a very dangerous direction as it relates to this idea of cancel culture. Baby Rocco Dawn Levrock says, in my meeting with a client, many say, hey, we now have a diversity and inclusion executive, while others have had the actions of D&I without a specific position created.
And that's a good point, because a lot of, I'm going to say Black women, just because that's who I relate most with, have been doing this diversity and inclusion work with, sitting on committees and not being compensated for it. So for me, I'm really excited about these new positions and these positions with a little bit of power and a little bit more money so that people can actually inform change and be in the room when changes are happening and say, hey, wait a minute, that's not great for Black people.
Indeed. We have another question. Rosalind Famous says, can you give an example of institutions who have truly taken the diversity issue seriously?
Well, since I'm in academia, I would say Ryerson University. They have an amazing EDI vice president, and she's getting data to prove the things that we've been saying all along, because being a Black person in this community, you know what's happening, but unless in academia, unless you have data points to prove it, and then people don't want to provide data sometimes, again, like I said, because it's been used against them in the past. But, you know, Ryerson is doing some really amazing stuff, and they just renamed their law school after the first Black lawyer in Ontario. So that was pretty impressive.
All right. One final question before we let you go. We definitely have to have you back because I want to almost delve into council culture and so on. Shika Rana asks, sorry, let's go to another one. Excellence Rules says, it's interesting to see how Black Lives Matter movement has shifted. No, we did that one already, didn't we? So look, the questions
Staying one player.
Floyd's activism court response last summer after George Floyd murder was far louder than for recent issue violence against Asian American Pacific Islanders. It now has people questioning if corporate response needs to be proportionate going forward. And I think I want to tie it into Excellence Rules question here, because it's interesting to see how Black Lives Matters movement has shifted from a Black person focus to diversity and inclusion of all. May you kindly touch on this? I want to tie this in together because I have seen, I'm sure you've probably heard of the ADOS groups on social media and descendants of African American, like they're very focused. They don't believe in the collective Pan-Africanism. They believe in only African Americans should get this, get the other. But
reparations.
Right. And their concerns are, you know, we're not all the same, right? Their concern is that when you look at it, how did we go from Black Lives Matter to inclusive? Nobody else includes us in their stuff, so why are we including everyone else in ours? Touch on that before we let you go.
Okay, quickly, that's why I really like the term BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, and people of color, because those three groups have very different experiences, especially depending on your location, right? So Black person and a person of color, they're not treated the same depending on their proximity to whiteness. So the closer you are to whiteness, the straighter your hair is, the lighter your skin is, your proximity to whiteness is celebrated, whereas Black people are not. Like the closer you are to Africanness with hair, skin colors, then that's why I like the idea of using BIPOC so that we can be specific about who we're talking about. And putting Black people and people of color all together is to me, is a big mistake, because Black people, like I said, have different experiences than other people of color, and so do Indigenous people. So I think that I know that Asian Americans and Asian and Pacific Islanders are being discriminated against, but it's not the same as the legacy of slavery that Black people have to contend with. So I'm not downplaying their discrimination at all, and I agree they shouldn't be put together, and it shouldn't overtake the Black Lives Matter movement, because we still have a lot more work to do.
Indeed. Carla John, thank you so much. We're definitely we have to have you back because we have a lot of questions and comments we didn't get to. This is a helpful conversation, and it's something we need to continue in our space. So thank you so much for doing this, and we look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Bye.
Alrighty, we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be back with the Daily Play. I enjoyed that conversation. Stick with us.
Same.
At Bermuda Communications Group Limited, we love to help businesses and organizations of all sizes across various industries. Find out how we've been working with our clients to improve their customer experience and increase their revenue. Send us an email to contact@bermudacommunications.com to see how we can assist you next. All right, welcome back to the big show. Carla Zul, Jackie Lambert, myself, Jamal Hartman. Thanks again to Carla John, our sponsors and partners, One Communications, Lindo's Medical House. So sorry, as always, we don't get to all the comments and questions, but please keep them coming. We'll definitely have her back again. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to smash a like. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow us on social media. Let us know how you felt about today's show. Give us a love. Give us a love. I hope you loved that today, even though Carla was calling me names, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to take a diversity and inclusion course so that we can fix her with her name calling of Jamal and Jackie. All right, folks. It's daily playtime, you guys.
I'm ready.
You ready? Carla, you ready?
Yeah, she's ready. She's always ready.
I didn't see her stretch. Jackie, she's older than us. She has to.
Drippy, I got this. Okay, I got this.
All right, player. Here we go.
It's noon. She stretched this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Sorry.
My goodness. PG. All right, here's the first question, folks. Number one answers only. Here we go. Name a question a person who's afraid to fly might ask a flight attendant.
Is he playing getting crash?
That's number 5.
Did your seatbelts work? Oh, can I have a drink? That's number 1.
Can I speak to the pilot?
Help him out, folks. Name a question a person who's afraid to fly might ask a flight attendant.
Where's the bathroom?
This one's hard.
Do you have sleeping pills? Can you smoke weed on the plane?
No one in the audience knows.
That's a hard one.
All right, so here we go. Name a question.
No.
Who's afraid to fly? We have to roll. We got time.
Okay, go.
Name a question a person who's afraid to fly might ask a flight attendant. The number 1 answer is she got it. Excellent.
Where am I looking?
I think you would know that before you got on the plane.
And Dr. C.
Right?
Yeah, but this is a person that's never flown before. So it was not a throw up bag. That would be something Carla would need. All right, here we go. Next question. Name something you might get out of by pretending to be sick.
A day off.
Number 1, she got it, folks. Yep, getting out of work. So basically, if Carla's working for you folks, know that if she tells you she's sick, she's just trying to get out of work that day. All right, the final question for today. Final one. Here we go.
Oh, jeez.
I really should have read this before it came up.
Too late. No, go for it.
Okay, here we go. Name a reason grandma might take out her false teeth.
Oh.
To eat her food. To eat her food.
That's 3.
To go sleep.
That's 2.
To drink water. To clean up.
Yes.
Okay. Because it was getting bad after that. It was only going downhill after that.
Yes, right, Granny.
I tweeted about this the other day. So,
yes, right, Granny.
I don't know what Nana, if you're watching, notice I didn't answer that question. I know Nana lost hers under the culture time or 2. But, look, guys, what are your thoughts on today's episode?
Excellent and informative, and we definitely need to have Carla back because again, it comes in diversity and inclusion encompasses so many things. Mm-hmm. So you know what I learned today? The tokenized, the willing to be tokenized. I thought that was a very interesting point.
Oh, many Black people are willing to be the token. Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I don't mind. Like, if you're, I don't know. I can't really be the token, but I really enjoyed today's show. I think we only got to the tip of it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more to go into. We got to, dive deeper. But I tried, Carla. I tried not to say it. But anyway, it turns dirty every time.
Yeah, it does. It does. Carla, you've got some inspiration for us, I'm sure. That isn't dirty.
You've got to get up every morning with determination if you're going to go to bed with satisfaction. George Lorimer.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I feel like that one turned dirty at the end as well. Bad with satisfaction, but yeah, no, really great show. I enjoy Carla John. I definitely appreciate her expertise and willingness to come on and have that conversation, and it's definitely a conversation that needs to continue. Folks, you all have shown me your true colors. If I have to get wet tomorrow, I will hold it against you. I do hold grudges.
All right, Drippy.
All right. Jackie, you were the sister I never had, but our relationship has been impacted. Carla, you're the sister I never wanted, and it's shown. It's shown.
Hey, make sure you have your flippers and your flamingo floaty and your goggles.
You all,
Nikki, charge up the camera, please. Thank you.
I don't like you all. Excellence Rule says, good show today. Dijon Simmons loved and look forward to this conversation. Obviously, we need more of the community talking about it. Indeed, Dijon, absolutely. Guys, honestly, thank you guys. Jackie, we have some things that I'm going to say this today. We have some big things happening, and we look forward to sharing them with the audience. So stick with us. Carla, we have some things that we're going to be showing them over the next few weeks that are pretty fun, that involve you. You like what I just said, guys?
I have no idea what it's talking about.
They don't know what I'm
I
talking
know for Jackie. I don't know for me.
All right. Well, look, any final words for the folks before we head out?
We love you and we appreciate you. Stay safe out there.
All
What
right.
she said.
She said it all. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House One Communications, Linda's, and Channel 82 for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. Jackie already told you, we love you, we appreciate you, and we thank you. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you next week, Monday. She's Carla Zool. She's Jackie Lambert. I'm Jerpy, I guess.
Drippy!
Jackie, all later. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace.